Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, 5 new ministers announced as President Tinubu reshuffles cabinet with 2 ministries facing merger. Maiduguri farmers warn of food price surge after devastating floods. Small business operators in Kaduna count losses as blackout persists. Away from Nigeria, on the foreign scene, 30 injured in protests demanding Bangladeshi president's resignation. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. President Bola Tinubu's much-awaited cabinet reshuffle was announced on Wednesday in the course of the Federal Executive Council's meeting at the State House, Abuja. The realignment of the cabinet is part of the implementation of 8 far-reaching actions which were aimed at reinvigorating the present administration's capacity to optimize efficiency. Kende Amodu has the report.
The Ministry of Niger Delta Development has been scrapped. In its place, a Ministry of Regional Development has been created to oversee the activities of all regional development commissions. The implication is that these regional development commissions, the Niger Delta Development Commission, the Southeast Development Commission, the Northeast Development Commission, and the Northwest Development Commission, will now be supervised by the new ministry. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Sports Development is being wound up. A new helmsman, Shehu Diko, has already been named as chairman of the commission.
All activities and programs of the Ministry of Sports Development are now being brought under the National Sports Commission. Number 3, the Ministry of Tourism has also been scrapped. Activities of that ministry are now being brought under the Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism, and Creative Economy. So that ministry will now be called Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism, and Creative Economy. Now, this is in addition to some other announcements that will follow later in the day.
But aside from the structural reforms, what will be more interesting to Nigerians is what has been done with members of the cabinet. 10 ministers have been moved to new ministerial portfolios, some of them demoted to ministers of state, while 5 ministers have been sacked outright. The president has nominated 7 new ministers who will be confirmed by the Senate in the days to come.
Bianca Odinaka Odumegu Ojukwu, she's been appointed Minister of State Foreign Affairs. Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, she is now the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment. Idi Mukhtar Meher is the Minister of the new Ministry of Livestock Development. Right Honorable Yusuf Abdullahi Atta is the Minister of State, Housing and Urban Development. And lastly, Suweba Said Ahmad, that is a doctor, is the Minister of State, Ministry of Education.
He has also brought on board Sunday Dari, former sports minister, as special advisor to the president on public communications and orientation. This much-awaited cabinet shake-up is expected to demonstrate President Tinubu's commitment to deliver on his promises to Nigerians, despite harrowing economic conditions that were ushered in by his economic policies. From State House Abuja, Kende Amodu, Trust TV News.
Senior Special Assistant to the President on Digital Media, Ortega Ogra, earlier spoke to Trust TV News and gave an insight into the latest cabinet reshuffle.
The President's 5 ministers will let go. 10 were assigned to new ministerial portfolios, and another 7 were sent to the Senate for nomination. And what the President has done, which he said before, is that we are going to work based on empirical evidence based on data, which is gathered on a quarterly basis by one of the departments under him, and that was what they used to make the decision. So this decision was intended to, streamline operations of various government ministries. That's the merger of some of the ministries and the removal of some, as well as, optimize efficiency in the running of the ministries.
All right. So now, is this to say that we're going to be expecting a smooth and better delivery of projects due to this, of course, like less now the sports ministry that has been scrapped and now put under the National Sports Commission? Are we expecting better? Are we seeing better handling of sports events in the country, and equally the creative economy and all that?
So, like you see, the National Sports Commission has set up, it regulates all sports within the country. That the National Sports Commission has set up. And I think the president deemed it fit that rather than have another level of or layer of bureaucracy in a ministry such as that, why not just let the National Sports Commission, handle it? So we believe that will lead to even greater efficiency. There's less bureaucracy. It will lead to more optimal operations for the National Sports Commission, since they already have direct access to all the sports bodies and organizations within Nigeria.
All right, now, is this move, there's the issue of the economy. We all know what's happening with the economy. I'm sure you can't even deny that yourself. So is this supposed to help with this economic situation? Because it's like people out there are saying this is just a piecemeal and does not address the fundamental problems plaguing the country, which is the economic situation of Nigeria.
So I think it's important that we situate what the fundamental problem with the economic situation of Nigeria is, which is one, we had a subsidy issue, which for 40 years we had tried to remove, and we had never been able to remove it, costing this nation, in FX bills of about 3 to 4 trillion every quarter. And that was something that we couldn't sustain. So that had to go. Luckily enough, the president was deemed its feet. Immediately he came in to also set up the CNG program. However, on the larger scale of the economy, we need to also understand another thing, which is one, that Nigeria for the longest time had used short-term solutions to solve long-term problems. The unsustainability of those short-term solutions is what has led to a lot of issues that we've had because we were just postponing the rainy day. Luckily for us, Mr. President, the Tinubu administration, since they've come in, have put in a lot of things in place, on the economy side, on the finance side, even looking now towards the tax, issues to see how we can remove the burdens of a lot of these impediments to individuals and small businesses and even larger businesses and retool them for, excellence in a way that they're able to support the Nigerian economy. But beyond that, we're seeing that the numbers at the top level are already aligning with our vision and goals. You can see inflation is already coming down. Inflation was initially caused by, the removal of the fuel subsidies, as well as the FX, the foreign exchange rates that moved, up. And that is something that we are actually proud of because we can see the numbers. Our foreign exchange reserves are actually rising. Like I said earlier, inflation has come down, and other economic indices like that are actually trending positively. Like the president has also said, President Bola Tinubu has said time without number that he knows that this is actually difficult for a lot of Nigerians. But in the long run, we expect that all Nigerians will benefit. This is a pro-people government. And everything we're doing is to ensure that Nigerians in the mid to long term, as well as the generations that are yet unborn, would continue to benefit from the impact of the reforms that we've taken so far.
Okay, so Oga, just before you go, and briefly if you can, could you tell us what to expect going forward?
The president said it very clearly in his statement to the ministers, whilst thanking those who were being let go. For the others, they said, we promised Nigeria something, And we must fulfill those promises to them because we have an aspiration to move Nigeria into a nation where you and I and every other person, every other Nigerian citizen can be proud of. Nigeria is too good. We are too excellent to be where we are. And that is painful enough for us in government. It's painful enough for the Nigerian people. Okay. So we expect every minister to put in their best. Everyone that's been appointed, to go beyond normal. Okay. To ensure that the dividends of what we promised Nigerians come to fruition. Okay.
That was Chiamaka Nwafo of the Trust TV speaking with the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Digital Media, Ortega Ogra, who was giving us an insight to the first cabinet reshuffle by President Bola Tinubu. Moving on, Maiduguri farmers have predicted hike in prices in food commodities following the flood that devastated homes, claimed lives, and destroyed farmlands across Borno State. The disaster happened at the peak of the rainy season when farmers invested hugely in food production for consumption and trade. Trust TV's Bitrus Kurusi has more.
In 2023, farmers in Borno State experienced low rainfall as a result of climate change. The rainfall deficit withered crops and farmers recorded poor harvest. Farmers again this year are expecting low yield due to flood disaster that claimed lives, displaced millions, and swept away farmlands. The devastation affected Maiduguri and neighboring local government areas, predominantly farming communities. Modu Kori is a farmer. He has been into farming a variety of crops in different locations for several years. According to him, there is prospect of bumper harvest this year as most farmlands were destroyed by flood. He said the impact will no doubt cause food scarcity and increase in food prices.
We farmed much this year, but the flood destroyed it. In some other places, it didn't affect their crops. Few were lucky to have good yields, and I doubt it will be enough for them, and this will cause poor harvest. The flood affected our farm, and the flood came with pests, which also destroyed other farms. Many people lost their farms. We are having that feeling that price of food commodities will increase because, as you can see, the crops planted haven't riped. As you can see, we are harvesting the little beans we got. Maize, guinea corn, all have been swept in the water. And when such disaster happens, there will be scarcity of food.
The farmers here are seeking for government intervention.
We want the government to support the affected communities, especially those farms were impacted by the flood. And the federal government should please reduce the price of fuel because the food inflation is caused by the cost of fuel. The government should support us with farming inputs. We know with what has happened these past years, we pray that we don't experience it anymore.
The little left on unaffected farmlands, farmers will have no choice but to utilize it and hope that such disaster does not reoccur next season. I'm Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
Power outage in Kaduna State is crippling small businesses that depend on electricity to strive. The situation has led to frustration as many small business owners and operators are idling around due to lack of patronage. Trust TV's Bella Musa, who monitored the situation around the Kaduna metropolis, reported that besides business owners, the development also affects households in the state. The report.
We are not fit talk to government. We no get power. Make we leave everything for God. I no get time.
The frustration is written on their face as they rely on electricity to preserve their fish. With the lack of electricity for days, they are recording losses as using generator is now beyond their reach due to the cost of petrol.
All my fish in Attic For now, present at the talk now. All my fish don't spoil. I beg government, I take God Almighty beg government to release light for us. Everything don't spoil. Waiting with the shop. Us. I think as you hear, man, I know here as this man. Now so, you man know here though.
We are in a difficult situation because we now put the fish in a paper and wrap it with polythene sack to reduce the damage occasioned by lack of power supply. Jamilu Ibrahim operates a barbing shop. He once enjoyed high patronage in the community, but the shop is now deserted. In theory, today alone, what I have spent on fuel is enough for me to cater for my family and save some. A roadside welder, Isiaku Abubakar, is sitting alone, thinking of how he will cater for his family as power outage has crippled his business. I have been sleeping since morning due to lack of patronage. It is affecting everybody. Let's say you charge 5,000 for a job and you spend 4,000 for fuel alone. You will have to explain to customers why there is need to increase price. The situation is also a setback for youths who engage in crypto and other online jobs, as they have to pay money to charge their mobile phones. We are not happy because we use our funds for business, which has now been affected by power outage.
We hardly get water to drink or cook due to the blackout. Even if you bring the phone here for charging, it hardly gets fully charged. Right now, I find it difficult to even communicate.
While many are lamenting, Hassan Marigi, who charges funds for people, is taking advantage of the situation. High patronage now due to the power outage. In a day, I charge 300 to 400 phones. However, many phones have been stolen here and I had to pay for them. The power outage is creating untold hardships to residents who are now appealing to the authorities concerned to fix the power outage affecting many states in the north. Bella Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Nigerians have continued to decry the electricity outage in several cities across the country and therefore call on authorities to declare a state of emergency in the power sector. The medical, while speaking with Trust TV's Adamo Imam on the current power situation and its attendant impact on the economic life in Bauchi. The report.
According to residents of Bauchi Metropolis, the current power situation coming at a time of severe economic downturn has further pauperized Nigerians who are struggling to feed.
And we are operating small-scale industry in Nigeria, we rely much more on electricity. A lot of our staff are no longer coming because we can't afford to pay them, because the patronage is low, because we can't actually use generator to produce, because the price of fuel cannot give us profit. When we use fuel to operate upon, it can't give us profit.
Because sometimes you may find out that there's a client that seriously needs your services. It's due to the economic situation. There's nothing you can do because they don't have money. They are struggling to feed themselves. Not talking about their health issue. So we are experiencing decline in the patronage.
Taking the treatment here for almost a year now, but I have stopped coming here for almost 3 to 4 months because of the economic condition, and I have to to still manage and make myself to come for survival.
They lamented the impact of the current economic reforms of government on the living conditions of ordinary Nigerian and urged the president to quickly intervene. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
The House of Representatives on Wednesday at plenary mandated its Committee on Power to investigate the recurrent collapse of the national grid and report back within 3 weeks. This followed the adoption of a motion of urgent national importance by Representative Mansour Manu Soro. Representative Soro in his motion expressed worries over the unending grid collapse, throwing the entire country into a blackout and further compounding the economic hardship Nigerians are currently facing. He noted that power supply remained indispensable in boosting economic development and growth of any nation. Representative Soro lamented that 8 incidences of national grid collapse had been witnessed in 2024 alone, describing the trend as worrisome.
The Nigerian nation has continued to witness unending power grid collapses, with 8 incidences occurring in 2024 so far. The House is disturbed that the entire states in the northeast, northwest, and some part of the north central zones has been thrown into darkness over the last 2 days in what the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, described as faulty transmission lines. The House is worried that the unending grid collapse is coming at a time of worsening national hardship caused by the extreme naira devaluation embarked upon by the Central Bank of Nigeria.
For over 2 decades, Nigerian sport industry has declined significantly, with less progress in prominent African sports like basketball, boxing, football, and athletics.
Meanwhile, the Plateau State Police Command has rescued 4 children who were allegedly trafficked by suspected child traffickers in the state. The Commissioner of Police, Olugbenga Adesina, disclosed this while addressing journalists on Wednesday at the command's headquarters in Jos. According to a neighbor's daughter, the children were last seen with one Comfort, a female who frequently visits her friend Adamubawa in the compound, often buying them biscuits. He added that upon receiving the report, police operatives swiftly took action, leading to the rescue of the 4 children and the arrest of 2 suspects in connection with the case. In a separate operation, the commissioner disclosed that 25 suspects had been apprehended for various offenses across the state. Among them was one Emmanuel Joseph, who was caught with a fabricated pistol after robbing a female churchgoer of her phone and power bank, valued at 75,000 naira. The police also busted a cybercrime ring involving 11 suspects, including 2 principal offenders identified as Ate Anthony Idoko and Daniel Idoko, both 23 years of age. The suspects were reportedly involved in abducting secondary school graduates, confining them to secluded residences, and coercing them into internet fraud. Meanwhile, the Plateau State Police Command says it has uncovered an internet fraud popularly known as Yahoo Yahoo Academy and arrested 13 suspected fraudsters in the Rantier community of Jos South local government area. The command stated that the suspects were arrested in an apartment believed to have been rented by the leaders of the center. Ado Musa completes the report.
The suspects were paraded alongside other suspected criminals involved in various criminal activities, including armed robbery, child trafficking, kidnapping, and gun running in the state. While parading the suspects at the command's headquarters on Wednesday, the State Commissioner of Police, Emmanuel Adesina, revealed that the training center was uncovered following a tip from concerned citizens of the state.
When this information was received, we swung into action and we cordoned the residence and arrested the 2
criminals alongside the other 12 suspects that we are working for them. And some of these boys confessed that they have been locked up in that house for more than 2 weeks. Some of them were deceived to come for employment, and on arrival they will just lock them inside the residence and give them task of how to defraud people and get results. The suspects too are here, and you will interface with them.
Some of the cybercrime suspects confessed to committing the crime.
SARS came to the apartment on the 20th of this month and raided us, and then they brought us to the station. Altogether, we are 19.
19.
So they stay in the house and voluntarily, because when they came, we explained everything for them. So they stay in the house and we don't go out. Even myself, we don't go out. We stay in the house and eat when it's time for eating, and then we work when it's time to work.
Actually, back then at home, I saw someone I used to see around after a year, and then he was all looking good. Given the fact that I was still in the trenches, I asked him what's up. So he just gave me a number and then directed me to where they caught me.
The command also paraded one Jonathan Danjuma, who specializes in fabricating locally made guns in the state.
Yes, sir. Because of the situation of the country, we went to school, we graduated from school. We went to school, we applied work, like the police force. My friends are home, military, but we're not able to get work. So we graduating from school now, sitting idle, your parents are feeding you, stuff like that. That's what we...
The commissioner, who said investigation into the matter is ongoing, however, called on the citizens of the state to cooperate with security agencies to combat all acts of criminality in the state. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
From Plateau State to Rivers State, troops of the 6th Division Nigerian Army on Wednesday averted what could have been a major petroleum tanker explosion in Port Harcourt. The division's Assistant Director of Public Relations, Lieutenant Colonel Anjuma Jonah, in a statement in Port Harcourt, said following a reported case of a tanker carrying premium motor spirit, otherwise known as petrol, that fell at Rumokota roundabout in Port Harcourt, the acting commanding officer, 760 Transport Battalion, Major Al-Mustafa Shawwal Adams, swiftly mobilized and led the 6th Division fire crew to the scene to prevent any fire outbreak. The operation, which he said was conducted with sister agencies, ensured that all safety and security protocols were strictly observed. He added that the area was cordoned off and all necessary preventive drills were carried out, adding that no life or property was lost as the situation was subtly brought under control. He noted that the General Officer commanding 6th Division Nigerian Army, Major General Jamal Abdul Salam, commended troops for the swift response and reassured the people of River State and environs of the resolve of the division to continue to carry out people-centric operations. The Nigerian government has dropped all charges against Tigran Gabriana, an executive of Binance Holdings, who has been facing money laundering trial from detention since April. A lawyer representing the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, the prosecuting agency, announced the withdrawal of the charges at the Federal High Court in Abuja on Wednesday morning. The hearing, coming 2 days before the 25th October, earlier scheduled as the return date for the trial, judge in the open court last Friday appeared to have been intentionally held to avoid public attention as much as possible. Announcing the withdrawal of the charges, the lawyer said Gambarena, a United States citizen, was merely an employee of Binance, whose activities he was being prosecuted for. Mark Modi, a senior advocate of Nigeria SAN representing Gabriela, agreed with the prosecution, noting that his client was not involved in the company's broader financial decisions. This is News Hour. Coming up next is the break. But after it, we will be bringing you the infrastructure decay negatively impacting the livelihood of residents in Zulu communities. We will have more news when we return. Do stay with us.
Time is power. Our lives are powered by the sun. As the sun rises, so do we. As we trust it to rise and set without any worries interrupting your morning with our hybrid all-in-one inverter, powering our prosperity and happiness.
Sustainable future, making the shell. Start time solar.
But also nurture what is dear to us, powering trust and support, empowering us to do things that really matters. Start Times Solar, power your life.
What NAFDAC is doing is making sure we are safeguarding the health of the nation.
80 million people have been accounted for that have glaucoma worldwide.
The Nutrition Society of Nigeria is laying emphasis on exclusive breastfeeding of our babies.
The incidence of kidney disease in children has also been rising, with an estimated 1 in 10 Nigerian children affected.
And that sometimes those products contain things that could harm you more than you would expect. So you would have long-term damage which could affect your health over time.
Intermittent fasting indeed is beneficial.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is News Update on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. 5 new ministers announced as President Tinubu reshuffles cabinet with 2 ministries facing merger. And Maiduguri farmers warn of food price increases after devastating floods. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, has expressed concern over the alarming number of out-of-school children in Nigeria. Speaking during the consideration of a report from the Senate Committee on Education at plenary, the Senate President noted that the approximately 20 million children currently out of school in Nigeria are potential recruits for banditry, further exacerbating the nation's security challenges. Trust TV's National Assembly correspondent, Sagir Ibrahim, brings details from Wednesday's plenary.
While presenting the report from the Committee on Education on the urgent need to address the out-of-school children crisis in Nigeria, its chairman, Senator Usman Lawal, Kaduna Central, emphasized the necessity for the government and all stakeholders to make concerted efforts to improve basic and secondary school education in Nigeria.
Addressing the issue of out-of-school children in Nigeria demands constant joint effort of government at all levels, national and state, local government, traditional ruler, parent, development partners, civil society organizations, and stakeholders in education. Ensuring security, improved education infrastructure, enhancing teachers, accurate data management, adequate funding, monitoring, and updates. Collaboration with state and local government are all crucial in this regard.
One by one, lawmakers engaged in a heated debate calling for a change in the current approach.
All of us who went to schools 30, 40, 50 years ago know the kind of education that was available for the rich as well as the poor. As we speak, payment of the salaries of primary school teachers, even their arrears, are domiciled with the local government authorities. The subnational should do more in this regard. We should not put all problems, everything, at the doorstep of the federal government.
If you want to address the issue of education, it has to be in a holistic manner, taken with drive, and such that every part of Nigeria will be a stakeholder in the process. So I think one very important element that we have to address is the issue of effective coordination between the national and subnational.
In his contribution, Senate President Godswill Akpabio called for collective action to address the rising insecurity in Nigeria, linking it to the large number of children roaming the streets instead of attending school.
If we can solve the problem of out-of-school children in Nigeria, over 20 million children that are out of school, those are potential bandits. Major danger. You can send your children to Cambridge, send your children to Harvard. They can't come back home. You can stay here as a senator, and your house is occupied by bandits at home. I have colleagues who are now ministers who are not been to some places in Borno for 5 years. They build houses, abandon those houses. It started from this out-of-school children issue. Remove the idea of counterpart funding and then send those monies to, what is the point of keeping billions and billions and billions for over 10 years on the ground that states could not access? We must take this issue very seriously. This is the core of the insecurity in this country.
At the end of the debate, the recommendations were consolidated and the Senate resolved to organize a national summit aimed at finding a comprehensive solution to the issue of out-of-school children. Sagir Ibrahim. From the National Assembly, Sagir Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The governor of Kebbi State, Nasir Idris, has signed into law the new minimum wage of 75,000 naira with implementation expected in 72 hours. The signing ceremony was witnessed by the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajero, at the government house in Kebbi. The report.
The soaring cost of living in Nigeria has posed significant challenges for its citizens, with skyrocketing prices of goods and services. In response, civil servants have been advocating for a minimum wage increase to cope with these difficult times. Following months of deliberation, the Kebbi State government has officially approved a minimum wage of 75,000 naira for every civil servant in the state. Governor Nasir Idris signed off on this initiative in the presence of the Nigerian Labour Congress President and the National Executive Council on the 23rd of October 2024 at the Kebbi State Government House. To ensure timely implementation, the governor directed the Accountant General and the Commissioner of Finance to effect this change within 72 hours, guaranteeing that all Kebbi State workers receive their new minimum wage.
You people have witnessed the signing of minimum wage into law. And I have directed the Commissioner of Finance, Accountant General, Commissioner of Local Government, that salaries of October, Kebbi State workers should start enjoying minimum wage.
The NLC President Joe Ajero commended the Kebbi State government for its commitment and accessibility.
Let me say that some states do neither this nor this. Some do either this or this. But Kebbi is doing all. It's not like you construct roads and you not pay salary or you not do education. But I'm seeing all this jointly, kind of hybrid, do this, do that. So we are proud of you. The labor movement is not a movement that flatters. It is a movement that talks to their members and their leaders direct to the face. And on that, I have to commend your level of accessibility.
The Accountant General, Bello Ibrahim Nahaliku, has assured Kebbi State workers that his office is already taking the necessary steps to ensure that they begin receiving the new minimum wage within the next 72 hours, as directed by the governor.
So you can witness today, he gave us directives in the next 72 hours. We made ensuring payment of 72,000 naira. Well, 75, so the same.
This development comes as a relief to public servants who have been severely impacted by the cost of living crisis, with Nigeria's inflation rate at its highest in 17 years, Real wages have fallen by 100%, forcing citizens to make tough choices amidst rising prices. The 75,000 minimum wage aims to alleviate some of its pressure, providing a vital safety net for civil servants. From Birnin Kebbi, Cynthia Yongo, Trust TV.
Still in Kebbi State, the heart of Zuru Emirate, a major road Koko Dabai once held as a lifeline, now stands as a symbol of neglect and despair. Connecting the emirate to the state capital and beyond, its dilapidation has far-reaching consequences on security, agriculture, and socio-economy of the people of the 4 local government areas that comprise Zuru Emirate. The report.
Zuru Emirate, renowned as the food basket of the state, boasts a rich cultural heritage that has been hindered by the deplorable condition of the Koko Dabai Road. This vital artery connecting the emirate to the state capital and beyond has suffered from many years of neglect.
We usually stand here from morning until evening, sometimes in the rain and mud. We are suffering greatly. In fact, even now, the road hasn't dried and we can't load our vehicles.
For farmers, the road's debilitation spelled doom for their livelihoods, with farm produce rot on the roadside because buyers can't get to the local market due to bad roads. Bandits emboldened by the road's isolation terrorize travelers on a daily basis. Social ties frayed as families struggle to visit loved ones in the city.
I'm happy that His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kebbi State, is taking this project seriously and taking it to himself because it affects us as a community and it affects the people, our people, the people of Zuru Emirate. These are people that are very, very hardworking. We know that is the food basket of the state, and we know that most of the cash crops and food crops comes from that area. So it's not easy for people to access the markets and as well people to come and buy products from that end.
The contractor awarded the project in 2021 had only managed 5 kilometers in 3 years. Rumors is that the state government is planning to revoke the contract. As the days tick by, anticipation grew, with the suffering continue. The people have a sigh of relief when the federal government delegation came to assess the level of work done by the contractors handling the project alongside the state delegation headed by the Speaker of the State House of Assembly and
report that will be on this Koko Dabai Mahuta Road, which maybe by next week Tuesday, soonest, you will sign the report.
We are all here, so we are going to measure inch by inch, meter by meter, all the works done. If all of us agree, that is the end of determination. And Kebbi State will be given this road officially by the minister. But unless we finish this assignment,
the intervention by the government is expected to hasten the process of the work on this very important road. From Birnin Kebbi, Cynthia Yongo, Trust TV.
The House of Representatives has put on hold a bill aimed at increasing the monthly revenue allocation for oil-producing states. The bill seeks to amend Section 162, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution, which currently allocates 13% oil derivation to oil-producing states. The report.
Sponsored by Rivers State Representative Awaji Inambek Abiante and 8 other members, the bill proposes raising the derivation fund to a minimum of 50%. Abiante argued that since all Nigerian states are rich in mineral resources, the bill would ensure that regions where these resources are extracted receive a fair allocation of revenues according to a 50% or more formula.
Speaker, you have sat down there and you have referred several alterations to the Nigerian Constitution to the Constitutional Review. So if Abiante is being singled out today, it goes to show that whatever we are saying and doing here is of no consequence, of no effect.
This is not the case.
Mr. Speaker, please. Mr. Speaker, please, sir. Please, sir. You asked me to expatiate. The portion that I have only requested to be altered is to look at the principles of derivation. We have even passed a part of what I am asking for.
However, some lawmakers expressed concerns, citing a lack of detailed information about the bill.
The House needs more information about this so that
the members will know what they are voting on. The mover of this bill with the 7 other people, I would say they're a bit economical to the House, because we need to know under which principles would they want to amend Section 162, subsection 2 of the Constitution. We need to know the principles behind that. They need to break it down, let us know the rationale, because we don't have the bill.
Section 162(2) says the President often received of advice from Revenue, Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission shall table before the National Assembly proposal for revenue allocation from the Federation account. In determining the formula, the National Assembly shall take into account allocation principles, especially those of population, equality of states, internal revenue generation, land mass, terrain, as well as population density.
Nothing will happen to a bill. We'll just give a little more time for members, now that they are aware of this particular request from you, to go through, and then on Tuesday, we'll resume debate on this particular matter. I don't think if there's any issue, and just a 1 week extension will not hurt the consideration of this particular bill. So, with your kind permission, we can step this bill down to Tuesday next week for continuation of debate.
Enacted, it will drive the development of resource-rich states, ultimately benefiting citizens through broader economic impacts. The House of Representatives has also passed for second reading a bill seeking to repeal the National Honours Act Cap N43 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and the Nigerian National Merit Award Act Cap N122 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. Leading the debate, Babajimi Benson explained that the bill aims to create a commission responsible for managing and regulating all issues related to national honors and merit awards in Nigeria.
The amendment and intendment of this bill is simple. It is to make the award and nomination for national awards to be merit-based. It's that simple, Mr. Speaker, and I so propose that this bill be passed for a second time.
The bill proposes the establishment of the Nigerian National Honors and Merit Award Commission to oversee and regulate matters related to national honors and merit awards in the country.
Time now for business news. Here is Yusuf Akoku.
Time for some business stories. The Dangote Petroleum Refinery has received 4 cargoes of crude oil from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) under the Naira for Crude Sales Agreement. Officials of the refinery and federal government confirmed this on Tuesday. It was gathered that the 4 cargoes of crude oil were delivered to the refinery within the past 3 weeks, when the government kick-started the sale of crude oil to the local refineries in the local currency. Reports say the refinery was still waiting to receive more crude oil cargoes from NNPCL. They also confirmed that the $20 billion Lekki-based plant is now set to begin direct sales of refined premium motor spirit, Probably petrol, to domestic dealers. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) has downgraded Nigeria's growth prospects for 2024 to 2.9% from 3.3%, while raising growth expectation to 3.2%, reflecting concerns over Nigeria's ongoing macroeconomic challenges, particularly the effects of recent flooding and oil production setbacks. The fund, in its recently published World Economic Outlook, projected global economic growth in 2025 to remain unchanged at 3.2%. The projection for the global economy represents a decline of 0.1% from the fund's earlier projection in July 2024. For Nigeria, the IMF recent GDP growth projection for 2025 represents a 0.2% increase from its earlier projection in July this year. On inflation, the Washington-based institution projected Nigeria inflation to steady at 25% in 2025 and 14% by 2029. NGX closed flat as an integrated energy company. RRL PLC, a new listed firm, finally obeyed the law of gravity. Analysts say a major deal was disapproved by FG, and this may signal more danger for the company. The speculation has led the company director to offload about 24 million units of the shares. Let's see how it impacted the market today. Of course, the market closed flat. Like I said, gainers are there. Unilever Nigeria PLC gained 10% to close at 20 naira and 90 kobo per share there. Unicel also closed on the gaining side of the market. 10% is gained to close at 3 naira and 19 kobo per share. Of course, Magnicos also gained 9.79% to close at 1 naira and 57 kobo per share there. Moving on to look at the losing equities there, we have RRDL down 9.99% to close at 562 naira and 90 kobo per share. Of course, RRDL is one of the new listed company on the NGS playing in the oil and gas sector of the market. NNFM also down as well, 9.93% to close at 34 naira there per share. Of course, CI Leasing also down 6.42% to close at 3 naira and 50 kobo per share. Of course, we look at the top trading equities in terms of volume. We have United Bank for Africa lead the table, 666.03 million shares traded. Nigeria Breweries 37.37 million shares. Of course, Access Corporation 17.57 million volume of shares. It also traded at the close of business this Wednesday. Of course, that's the highlight of stock trading as it went down this Wednesday on the floor of NGS. Let's see the global stock market and exchange rate data for today. Oil price fall on Wednesday after industry data show U.S. crude inventories swell more than expected, though futures were still up about 2% this week as traders factor in continued conflict in the Middle East. At the London market, Brent crude sells for $74 per barrel, but the pay basket dealers offer $73 per barrel. And that's business. I am Yusuf Akogu.
On the foreign scene, at least 30 persons have been injured after a protest erupted outside the Bangladeshi president's residence demanding his resignation. The protest ended as demonstrators clashed with riot police while trying to storm the residence. President Mohammed Shahabuddin's powers are largely ceremonial, but he played a pivotal role at the height of an August student revolution that ousted autocratic ex-Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Shahabuddin announced his one-time ally had quit on the day she fled the country for neighboring India, paving the way for the caretaker administration now running the South Asian country. But last week, he said in a local media interview that he had not actually seen a written letter from Sheikh Hasina to that effect, raising the prospect that her resignation was unlawful. Protesters began gathering outside Shahabuddin's residence in the capital, Dhaka, on Tuesday, demanding he steps down and accusing him of residual loyalty to Sheikh Hasina and her Awami League party. Dhaka Metropolitan Police Deputy Commissioner Talibu Rahman said at least 25 police officers were injured by protesters. Now let's join Emmanuel Fashimi for the latest in sports.
President Tinubu this Wednesday approved the scrapping of the Ministry of Sport Development and replaced it with the National Sports Commission. The move, which was part of the long-awaited cabinet reshuffle, saw the appointment of former second vice president of the Nigerian Football Federation (NFF) and NPFL boss Malam Shehu Diko as the new chairman of the National Sports Commission, which now takes over the role of the Ministry of Sports Development. Shehu Diko is currently a member of FIFA Football Stakeholders Committee and CAF Organizing Committee for Interclub Competition and Club Licensing Management. His experience and exposure is expected to catapult Nigerian sports to greater heights. His journey in Nigerian football administration saw him in 2004 serve as the FIFA Goal Project Manager, Nigeria, organizing several club tours between Portsmouth FC and Manchester United alongside Kano Pillars FC. In 2008, Diko became a consultant for the Sports Committee in the Nigerian House of Representatives, a role he held until 2011. During this time, he played a key role in drafting the National Sports Commission Bill in the National Assembly. He led the Nigerian Professional Football League for many years and brought fresh ideas, growth and stability to the league. His appointment to lead the National Sports Commission comes at a crucial time, and he is expected to leverage his extensive experience to foster sports development, excellence and lasting impact on Nigerian sporting landscape. The Nigerian Under-20 male football team, the Flying Eagles, on Wednesday had their last training session at the Stade Municipal in Lomé ahead of the crucial game with Côte d'Ivoire. The morning session started 9 a.m. Nigerian time and lasted for an hour with all players and coaching crew. 19 players took part in the session except for striker Parobo Arihi, who is nursing minor blisters. The Flying Eagles will trade tackles with Côte d'Ivoire on Thursday as they aim to book a spot in the semi-final of the competition, which they last won 2 years ago in Niger Republic. And that is sports. I am Emmanuel Fashimi.
And that concludes News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs, and documentary. Thank you for watching. I am Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. Good night.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.